So here's the question 11 from the Project Euler, largest product in a grid. In the 20 times 20 grid below, 4 numbers along a diagonal line have been marked in red. The product of these numbers is 26 times 63 times 78 times 14 is equal to that number. What's the greatest product of 4 adjacent numbers in the same direction? So this same direction can be upward, downward, from left to right, right to left, or diagonally. The diagonally can be both the main diagonal or the other one. So, and we know that these numbers are 20 times 20 numbers, which is 400 numbers. So, for example, the one that it shows here is 26 is here, 63 is here, 78, and 14. So they are diagonally adjacent to each other. So, to solve this question, first we need to somehow manage to save the numbers in a 2D array. So I copied the numbers into a I managed to save the numbers into a string variable named s, and yeah, these are the numbers. So the numbers are 400 numbers that are separated with a space. So I use the split function. A split function is a function that split the strings whenever they find a space. So for example, for the first two integers, 0, 8, and 0, 2, it will split them by 0, 8, and 0, 2. And then I define the, when you split a string, it will be a one direction array because there are only words into a list. Then I use the 2D array with the size 20 times 20. So it can fit those numbers inside. And what I'm trying to do is to put those numbers from that list into a 2D array. So there are two things that we need. First, we know that we are having a string. So there are strings. So we should turn them into integers. And at the same time, we should put them in a 2D array. So, to turn string into integer, we use integer.parse int, and then here's our string. So this is a string. There could be any string that contains numbers, and integer.parse int string will turn that string into a number. It will find the integer part and then turn it to an integer variable, which is usable to save into integer variables. So, numbers inside our part array, which is created by splitting a variable s are in one direction array. So we should keep in mind that we have to know which number are we taking care of. So I define the variable count. So every time I put a number from this list of a string into our 2D array, to the integer array, I will add it up, so I know which number am I going to look for next. So it's a here's a nested for loop. The first one will take care of the rows. The second one will take care of columns. And you should be sure that you use two different variables for each loop, because we need both of them in our calculations. And we will put each number that we find inside the string array. We turn it into integer and then put it in our list, our array of numbers. I put the name as input, so because it's actually our input that we need to use it to solve our questions. So the first part is only the part that takes care of the way to read those integer numbers. So what we want to do is to find a way to read all the multiple of 4 adjacent numbers, and to find which one has the maximum value. So for that, to find maximum number, we should save the previous maximum and compare it with the new number. So if new number is greater than max, then we should save it as a new max. And to find the multiple numbers, we should start with 1. To find sum of numbers, we start with 0. Because 1 times any number is that number, and 0 plus any number is that number. 1 times like n is equal to n, and 0 plus n is equal to n. So 1 is our initial point in multiplying, and 0 is our initial point in adding. So we're going to read from very first point 0 and 0 and 0. So the last number that we can check is 16 and 16. Because we are going to each time check the next 3 numbers. So the last number that is not out of the index of our array is 16 and 16. But for the one that we need to check it diagonally with the other diagonal number, which is like this. This one has a little, it's different. It starts from the 3 and 3 and ends at a different number. So I put 3 of them in one and the other one in another loop. So there are actually 2 loops here. So the first loop checks for three kind of different multiples. The first one is these numbers. So it checks I and j plus 1, I and j plus 2, and I and j plus 3. So there are 4 adjacent numbers in one row. The second one will look for numbers like this, 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 this. So there are 4 numbers in one column. the last one is checking diagonally. So it's like this number, this number, this number, and this. So and they are diagonal numbers. So that's why the first one starts with I and j, the second one I plus 1 and j plus 1, the third one I plus 2, j plus 2, and the last one I plus 3 and j plus 3. And for each time, it multiple them, put them in P. It check if P is greater than previous maximum. If it is, then the new maximum is equal to the new P. And then its initial P with value 1. And if again check if the new value is greater than maximum. If it is, it put it as maximum, and do the same thing for the main diagonal way. So as I mentioned, we need another one for checking for the other with our other diagonals, and because it starts with the 3 and 3 and ends at 19 and 16. So this one is checking for the numbers that are in this way. So this is the first number, this is the second one, third one, and fourth one. So for this one, we cannot start from the 0 and 0, because for 0 and 0 there are no other numbers adjacent to it. And if you start from 0 and 0, we'll face with the error, which means that you are out of the scope of that array. So indexes that we are looking for are I and j, I minus 1, and if you imagine this one as I and j, this one is 1 upper, so it's I minus 1 for row, and for column it's it increases column, so it's j plus 1. This one is I minus 2 and j plus 2. This one I minus 3 and j plus 3. And it will again check compare the previous maximum with the new number to see if the new number is greater than the previous maximum. It will change the value of new maximum to the new number. And at the end, it just print out the maximum, the greatest number that we found in all those numbers. So if we run the program, we'll see this number. And if you check it with the correct answer, they are the same thing. Yeah, that's the answer.